A lot of people mistakenly believe that just because they have an extra complicating condition on top of their depression or anxiety, that being able to create a natural recovery would not be possible for them, which is just not true. So two of the most common ones we see that overlap with those two issues particularly are PTSD and OCD. So I'll bring you back to what we call the jukebox model of understanding exactly why these types of mental and emotional challenges surface and why they persist. So if you think of a jukebox having 1,000 CDs in it, and you type in a sequence of numbers and letters, you bring forward a CD, it plays the CD. The subconscious mind works very similarly, where it houses thousands and thousands of emotional, cognitive, and behavioral patterns that will repeat, okay? And so when you're in a particular situation or sequence, it may end up being like punching in that sequence of numbers or letters, and it brings forward that emotional pattern and it plays it. Okay, so for instance, PTSD is very often experienced where recurring images or flashbacks or sights and sounds come back depending on if they're in a particular environment that may bring out those emotional reactions. So what is essentially happening is there was an event in the past that was particularly painful, dangerous, whatever the case is, and all of a sudden, because that was a very intense experience, the mind is looking for things that are unique and that are consistent, that are going on during that intense and dangerous experience. So for instance, if somebody was in a war and they were dealing with the potential of death and they were hearing loud noises, okay, is one of the most common situations, then their brain associated very loud noises means imminent death, okay, which means that if they ever get around those types of sounds again, it can bring back a very concrete emotional response where your body goes immediately into fight or flight mode because your body has learned, in a sense falsely, that any loud noise means potential for imminent death. Okay, so it's like all of a sudden that got programmed, it brings the pattern forward and it plays it, okay? So that is one specific pattern. The other one I'll talk about here is OCD. OCD would be one where, for instance, in a particular environment, you feel an overwhelming urge to engage in a particular behavior. Okay, so it could be counting steps, it could be rearranging things, it could be whatever the case is. But here, it's a different type of pattern, but still a pattern all the same, where, again, you're in a particular environment or context. So again, it's like typing in that sequence of numbers or letters in the jukebox, and all of a sudden it brings out this automatic behavioral pattern where you feel this overwhelming urge to engage in a particular behavior. So again, what we have to do to turn around either of these is we have to scratch that CD. We have to interrupt that pattern. We have to break apart the neurological associations that are making it automatic so we can open up a new opportunity to condition in a new pattern inside the nervous system. So it's the same type of situation where if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, you have consistent racing thoughts, you have consistent emotional responses, you're dealing with something that needs to get interrupted and replaced. Same type of principle, it's the exact same mechanics, it's just we have to be a little bit more flexible and make sure that we're applying an approach and a strategy that's going to work for somebody's specific pattern. That's really what it comes down to. So curious to hear your thoughts. Does this resonate? Does this make general sense? Do you have questions? Please leave them below. Talk to you soon.